Hey, beautiful people. My name's Taylor, also known as Priceless Tay.
And I'm your co-host, Tedia Rosarion.
We want to welcome you back to What the
Finance!
What's going on, guys? It's your girl, Taylor, and we have here Tedia and Ishaan back at it again with WTF What the Finance. Today's special guest is Ishaan Rahal. Ishaan, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you? Where are you from? What do you do? We want all of the good juiciness.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on. I'm originally from Fresno, California. And from an even smaller town called Carruthers. I do a lot of entrepreneurial things. For now, I'm working in my own esports company. That's my main focus is esports, running an esports organization, and focusing mostly on that with some background projects and apps I develop. But that's what I'm doing currently. Yeah.
That's cool. I love that. Entrepreneur. And so you work full-time on your project, or you have a full-time job, or you're a student?
Yeah, so I work full-time on all my projects. So my main focus would be like, I'd say 75% esports, Lotus Esports, that's what it's called. 75% focus on that. And I'm currently on my way back to school. So I took a break from it. I've about a year and a half left to finish. I really didn't want to finish, but some external sources encouraged me to do it. So I'm going back now to finish. So I'll be going back in about a month or so. And then I'll probably delegate, I guess, 30-40% of that. I have to retract some for my business and other projects on the side.
That's awesome. So we have to know, on this show, we talk about money. It's a very open conversation. You don't have to say numbers if you don't want to. If anything's too uncomfortable, let us know. We're just trying to find out and challenge the status quo of talking about money. So growing up, was finances like something taught in your household, especially being two females on this podcast? Tedia and I are like, yes, yes, yes on the woman, like female empowerment and sharing finance with husbands and stuff like that. And so we want to know, like, how is your upbringing when it comes to finances?
Yeah, so my upbringing when it comes to finances is different. I never really had no one really talked about it. I didn't learn it in school like most people. I didn't wasn't taught it by parents or was taught to communicate with. The thing for me though is that my dad is really good at finances and my mom is really bad. So I guess I just learned from examples. So I instead of, I guess, traditionally learning about it, books, etc., I had real life examples to like base it off of and kind of put the pieces together myself. And I have been more open to talking about my finances recently, especially following both of you guys' pages. It helps, obviously teach a lot of younger people and make things a lot more comfortable. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
When you mentioned your dad was good with finances, do you mean like he was in charge, everything was always like paid, or did he ever told you money doesn't grow on trees, son? Or did he taught you some stuff?
Yeah, so my mom, okay, so I'll get to that. It's like my mom is like impulsive buyer, and my dad is a ultimate saver. And so yeah, he used to tell me all the things money doesn't grow on trees. I mean, honestly, I didn't. My childhood was kind of different because I didn't always spend a lot of time with him. However, from what I was spending with him, that'd be the conversations. Like my dad always say, like, you have to save. He always very undervalue where we're at. He always like, oh, we're very poor, even though we weren't. Just to like make sure to like encourage, like, hey, you really need to save.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that because of that kind of upbringing of always having one of your parents saying like we can afford this, and having another parent saying like, no, we can't do this, like we're struggling here, would you say that today that has affected you and your financial situation and how you look at spending, how you look at saving and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it affects it in a way where I look at situations. So for example, if I really want something, I bring those situations or things back up in my head and figure out whether if it's worth it or not. Ask myself twice, I guess.
That's great. So in terms of your finances now, like what's the main thing that you do that you're proud of? Like, do you invest? Do you budget? I know you have a business.
hmm
So what's your favorite part of finance or your main thing?
My favorite part about finance is investing. I I love investing, and I'm not. I'll admit I'm not great at budgeting. Um, I still have some of my mom side of me. I will impulse buy some things. But I my favorite part about finance for sure is definitely investing. I guess I'd probably say this is not financial advice, but I love to invest in people. A lot of people don't really see that. Some people like think of investments like in stock or
Mm-hmm.
cryptocurrencies, which I'm totally for. I love cryptocurrencies. I've invested in so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
But um, I my favorite investment is into people, and this is pretty interesting. It's like when you see somebody, with your guys' work ethic, sorry, um, and you see some people that really have passion or creativity, or they really want to do what they want to do. Um, I will put money up for those people, help them, leverage them, and get to those places. Just for example, one of my friends from back home, he never had good internet, so I got this office space for him that's pretty close to him that has great internet. Set up his streaming, got him a PC, got him everything, and now he's doing it. And now it's gonna return my investment tenfold in the future because I invested into that person. It's a new type of investment, or I guess older type of one, but I don't know. That's my favorite type of investment.
That's really cool that you invest in people and see potential in people, but I would say people for me are more riskier than like stocks and material things. I don't know, like Taylor, you have your own experiences with people since you have a business and you had projects. What do you think about investing in people?
Definitely a risk, and you're involving your time as well when getting into people. And one of the things that you have to constantly remind yourself is that nobody's really going to change at the end of the day besides you. And so if you're investing in somebody and you're not necessarily liking the output that they're doing, and you keep on saying do this, do this, do this, do this, more than likely you're the one who's going to have to change or just take a loss on that investment. And this could even go more in towards like not just investing in business for people, but this is investing in your friends, your family, the relationships that you have with everybody, which, is super, super interesting. It's an interesting topic. But keeping it back to finances, Ishaan, what would you say is like the hardest part of making finance fun or talking about finances? What would you say is your biggest struggle when it comes to finances?
Uh, like struggle in terms of like talking about it, or struggles like
Any struggles that you may have, maybe just overwhelming feeling of stress, having a hard time talking about it to people, feeling as
Yes.
though you're never going to be rich, like wealthy, whatever.
um I don't really have too much of a struggle, I would say. Um Currently, as I've learned, obviously, like again, like through people like you guys who really open the gap for a lot of people, that makes it a lot easier to understand a lot of things. But from like previously, I guess when I was growing up, it was always talking about it, understanding what it is, how to maximize your profits, or how to maximize, like through like having LLCs and stuff you can do with like homes and stuff like that, like learning about the ways you can lower your taxes and stuff like that. There's just so many different ways I learned, but I guess just a lack of knowledge previously was I guess hindering me.
All right. So I like that. So the fact that you managed to learn about finances and today you are in a place where you're proud of what you learned and you're practicing what you learned and you're just in your own world, killing it, because you said like you don't have much struggles. So it's
Mhm.
fun to know for our audience that it's a process. You start like Ishan with your background, your experience, your life, and then you keep learning with me and Taylor, like Ishan said. And then moving forward, one day you're going to be at a special place where you feel where you're closer to get to your accomplishment.
Right.
Mhm.
And with that being said, let's put in, Clubhouse chat, a hidden gem or drop in those gems. What would you say is the best financial lesson that you've ever received in your life? Whether it just be an experience, a mentality, a tactical lesson that you learned for our audience.
I would say the best financial advice is probably to follow people like yourselves, like Tedia and Taylor. Learn, educate yourself. I think the most important thing in the world, outside of finances as well, is just to be educated. You can't do what you don't know, or you just don't know what you don't know. And I think it's very important for people to be educated. That doesn't mean going to school or college if that's not for you. It's just make sure you're aware of the resources around you.
That's awesome. I want to know if our audience wants to find you, ask you a question, or look at your business. Are you mostly on social media, or are you a low-key person?
Personally, I'm a low-key person, but please follow my businesses, lotusesports.co on everything, or Lotus Esports CO on everything, and you'll be able to find it.
Great. Thank you so much, Ishan, for sharing your story with us. It was so much value. I learned a lot that, you can start with learning by example with your family, and then forward to be the man that you are today.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was a pleasure. And again, guys, this is your favorite money podcast. You can find me at Tedia Rosarion, Tedia. Rosarion will be found in somewhere in the podcast, and your amazing other co-host, Taylor Priceless Tay. I don't know if you want to say a goodbye word.
Yes, thank you so much. Key tip that I learned from this whole experience is that no matter what age, where you come from, what culture you come from, it is so important to really take finances into your own control and in your own hands. And therefore, hopefully, you will have a better life and a better financial future. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us again at Tedia Rosarion and at Priceless Tay. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
You've been listening to WTF, What the
Finance
with the one and only
Tedia Rosarion.
And last but not least, Taylor Price. Make sure to receive all of the updates on WTF by texting WTF to 424-226-5797. Message and rates may apply.